So once you have your animation, uh, your stop motion animation with your group kind of planned out as to what you want to do, you want to sketch it out. And one of the ways that I want you to try sketching it out is using the computer here. And so you go to the computer, go to your Start menu, and you're going to go to All Programs, and you're going to look for this folder called Macromedia, and you're going to launch this Macromedia Flash MX2004. Right? And this is a little program that allows you to animate things. And so what you're going to do is you'll create a new Flash document, and I'll run you quickly through an example. Say I wanted to do a stop motion animation using a skateboarder riding a rail. All right? I guess, what do they call it? Grinding a rail. So what I'm going to do is that's what I'm going to draw, and pretend this is my sheet of paper. You'll see this little arrow here. I'm just going to drop this, click on this little triangle arrow to make more room here on my stage, and I'm going to expand this window right here, make it a little bigger. If I hold my space bar down, it gives me a little hand, and I can move what's called my stage here. And this is, pretend this is my piece of paper that I'm going to draw what I want my animation to look like. So I'm going to draw right here. I'm going to just click in this little box up here, which is a frame. And this is like one little page in my drawing. And I'm going to draw a little road or a sidewalk. So I'm going to make my color here gray. And that's what my sidewalk's going to look like. And I'm going to use this rectangle tool, and I'm just going to draw a sidewalk. I'm just going to draw a rectangle here that goes from one end of my paper to the other. Alright, now I'm going to go up to my line tool, and I'm going to draw a rail on this sidewalk for my skateboarder to grind onto. So I'm going to actually lift this up here. Once I've chosen my line tool, I'm going to click on this little triangle because I want to bring up the properties. And see on my line tool properties, I have this thickness of the line here is 1. I'm going to bring it up so that it's like 4. Make it a little bit thicker. And then I'll hide my properties again because I don't need it. And now I'm going to draw my little rail. I'm going to draw a line here going up, followed by a line here going up. And then there's going to be a line across. It doesn't have to be perfect. It can be fairly good. There's my line. Alright? It's not quite touching. So I'm just going to go like this. And I'll move it down a bit. There. There's my rail. Alright? And I'm actually going to just double click on this layer up here, and I'm going to call it a rail. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to click on this little button right below this lock sign, and I'm going to lock my rail so I can't play with it anymore. And then I'm going to draw my skateboarder, but I'm going to draw it in a different layer. So I'm going to click and I'm going to add a new layer here, and this is going to be my skater layer. And I'm just going to call him Skater. Alright, and I'm going to draw my skateboarder. And it's simply going to look like this. Draw a little skateboard, person standing on the skateboard. Give him some arms. It doesn't have to be perfect drawing. This is just going to give us an idea of what your stop motion animation is going to look like. For the head, I'm just going to use my paintbrush, make sure I have the color I want for the head. I'll just make it like that. And I'm going to draw some wheels just by using the paintbrush. And there's my skateboarder. I'm going to click here just to select him. You see how he's got all those little dots on him now. And I'm just going to use my arrow keys to move him down onto the road. Right, so here's what I'm going to do to animate this, to show what my stop motion animation is going to look like. I'm going to add a new page, and to add a new page, I just press F6 on my keyboard, and watch what happens up in this area as I press F6. It adds a new little keyframe, and this is like a new page that I can start moving this guy in. So I'm just going to use my arrow keys, start moving him towards the rail, and every time I hit F6 is a new page, and I can move him a little bit more. F6, move a little bit more. F6, move him a little bit more. Now he's running into this, so now I'm going to go up. And if I choose this tool here, I can actually rotate him as he goes up. So he's jumping. Okay. I'll go F6, move him up a little bit, over a little bit. F6, up a little bit more, over. And then I'll straighten him out. And I'll have him land down on the rails. Right, then just keep going. F6, F6, move over, F6, move over, F6, move over, F6, move over, F6, move over. He's coming to the end of the rail. F6, F6, move over. Now he's going to start dropping down too as he moves over. Not too much. F6, move down. F6, down and over. F6, now he's going to keep going. F6, F6, move over. F6, move over. F6, move over. F6, move over. Alright, and so that's what it looks like. If I go Control Enter now, I get to watch what my animation will look like. Okay, and this just shows what I'm planning on doing for my stop motion animation. Now what you want to do, I'll just close this off, when we look at this again, is the reason I put this skater in the other layer is because that's the one that's moving, right? And I'm not impacting the rail or affecting any of that. I'm just actually moving the skater in its own layer. And so it doesn't matter whatever you draw, anything that you move should be in its own layer. Okay, so if you're going to have a number of characters in your animation, you want to add a layer for each character so that you can be moving it separately from the others. And once you have one moved the way you want, you can just lock it or unlock it. Okay? And so when you're done with that, make sure you just go up, you go File, and you choose to save it and give it a name, and that way we can look at it after. Alright? Okay, so that's how you get started planning out your animation.